Day One, the second episode of Series 1, is written by Chris Chibnall and starring John Barrowman, Eve Miles, Bern Gorman, Noroko Mori and Gareth David Lloyd. Originally it was going to be called New Girl because the story focused on Gwen's first day and she makes one mistake. The scene where Gwen accidentally opens the meteor was meant to extend the metaphor of breaking the photocopier on your first day at work. Plus it added a mix between Gwen's domestic life and science fiction. Chris Chibnall came up with the idea of the sex gas. He had no idea where it came from. Russell T Davies said it was inevitable to have a sex monster. Dear God. Dear God. Sorry, he did say this episode is not solely about having a laugh with the sex gas, as it also has something to say about the world. So, the first episode begins with Gwen and Reese at the bowling alley when they saw meteorite. Gwen has to go to work, which we obviously know how Reese feels about this. So when the Torchwood team investigates a meteorite, apparently that scene was filmed just outside of Cardiff, as they felt it was a perfect location for a crash site, and quite right too. And thanks to Gwen, like I said, accidentally opened a meteorite, the pink gas goes onto a woman called Karis, played by Sarah Lloyd Gregory, and I think she did really well. Lucky for lads that she... Sorry, what am I doing? Let's get on with the retrospective. So when Karis decided to go back inside a nightclub after she popped out to make a phone call and thrown abuse to her ex, I'm like, blimey, the sex gas is one way of taking your mind off things like this. Because a bouncer wouldn't let Karis back in, she decided to kiss him and then all of a sudden he just lets her back in. I mean, this kind of power reminds me of Poison Ivy, one of their Batman villains. So she went to a random bloke and, well, have sex with him. As a result, that turned him into a dust and saved Karis' life for the time being. How did that discovered? Well, it was because a bouncer looked at the CCTV footage to masturbate, and I'm sure it is creepy, and should he be sacked and possibly arrested for doing that? And also, why is there a CCTV camera in the ladies' toilet? I don't think that's right, guys. When Torchwood team looked at that footage, I love the line when they're like, "He came and went." That crackled me up every time. When I first saw that episode, I thought that idea was pretty weird. An alien's intention is to have sex to save their life. Funny it's a Doctor Who universe. When the postman arrives and Karis, well, is about to have sex with him, luckily Torchwood cock-blocked to save his life. Jack wasn't really grateful when Owen uses an inflatable cell to stop Karis from escaping. It's because you shouldn't take alien technology out of the base without his permission. We find out the reason why the sex gas came to Earth to possess Karis to shag men to death is because, unlike the other planets, the Earth tastes better and the planet is a hit. I must be drunk or something, but it's also scary when you think about it. In the scene where Gwen and Karis were snogging in the cell, both actresses, Eve Miles and Sarah Gregory, talked about how they would do it, and they both agreed to imagine that Gregory is Johnny Depp and Miles is Brad Pitt. Which I think it's a good idea to film that scene. I love the scene where Owen was watching that on the computer when Tosh was like, "We should get her out of there," and Jack was like, yeah. Yeah, that is funny. The scene where Torchwood team were having a Chinese takeaway and discussing the mysteries behind Captain Jack made me crave for Chinese food. It was Jane Tranter's idea, the executive producer, as she said the Torchwood team should take a breather. And Owen in this scene seemed to be the only one who knows that Captain Jack is gay. When Karis escaped and Owen was somehow naked and covered his area, it's a brilliant gag when Gwen asks Owen if he still feels a bit of a cock. When Karis throws the hand in a jar and Jack picked up a hand, we obviously know who the hand was. It was the Doctor's. When it got sliced off during the sword fight with the cigarettes on Christmas episode. I found out that one of the Russell T Davies' favourite scene was where Karis is walking down the street where they show porn advertisement and couple kissing, because it explores how sexualised the Western world is. We also learn that Karis is a receptionist at Conway Clinic, and she's also a fan of Orlando Bloom and Heath Ledger. The scene where Karis punched a receptionist, and you'd be thinking, when she gets unpossessed, she could possibly lose her job and arrested for assault. When Owen shows the Torchwood team a rat in a cage, they filmed a real rat and then replaced it with a fur-covered condom filled with chicken bits and red dye to simulate guts, then exploded with a squib. So in the end, Karis gets unpossessed and the gas is really weak and turns into a pink dust. Thank God they didn't kill her off and gave her a happy ending instead. Man, I'm here to talk about a Doctor Who universe episode, and all I seem to be doing is talk about porn. So, what's your thoughts of Day One? Let me know in the comments below. As always, thanks for watching, and see you guys in the next video.